Tani, and I'm here with William Everett Kennedy. I am at my house on May 2nd, 2006 in Carlsbad, California. Mr. Kennedy was born July 27th, 1931. The people here attending the interview are me, Mr. Kennedy, Heidi Tani, and Caitlin Tani. I'm working with the Boy Scouts of America, Troop 767. Mr. Kennedy, what war or branch of service were you in?
Well, I was in the U.S. Navy, and the war I participated in was the Vietnam War in Southeast Asia.
What is your rank?
Well, I had all the ranks in the Navy as an officer except up to captain. But while I was on this ship that we're going to talk about, I was a commander in the Navy.
Where did you serve?
Well, I served all over the world, really, but this particular ship that we're going to talk about was home ported in San Diego, California.
Where other parts were you?
Well, I was stationed in Long Beach for 3 ships, and San Diego for 3 ships. I've had duty at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. I've been to the postgraduate school. I've been on fleet staffs and escort squadron. I was a commander of an escort squadron. Had quite a few jobs.
What type of work did you perform?
Well, I call myself a ship driver. That is, I was a regular line officer. A line officer is somebody that stays on surface ships. In the Navy, we have 3 communities. We have the surface ship Navy, the Air Navy, and the submarine Navy. And usually a person participates in one of the 3.
What war did you serve during?
During the Vietnam War. I was in during the Korean War, but I was basically at the Naval Academy most of the time and just arrived in Korea just at the tail end, so I don't consider myself a Korean veteran, although I have the service ribbons for it.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I didn't do either. I joined as an officer. I joined as a midshipman. I went to the Naval Academy and then got a commission.
Where were you living then?
I was living in Minnesota.
Why did you want to join?
I always wanted to go to sea. I wanted to see the world. I joined for all the old reasons. I wanted to see the world and I wanted to go to sea.
Do you recall your first days of service?
Well, very clearly. I was, my first day, I came in as a civilian and was a midshipman at the Naval Academy. And there you're treated rather abruptly the first few days. So I remember them, yes.
What did it feel like?
Oh, a new adventure.
Yeah.
Something that you wanted to overcome, something you wanted to do.
Did you ever experience any like boot camp or training experiences?
Yeah, that would be at the Naval Academy. They call it plebe year, and for a year you're at the bottom of the totem pole and have certain requirements that you have to go through.
Did you remember any of your instructors or?
Oh, quite a few of them.
How'd you get through it, and was it tough?
Oh, I think it's very easy to get through it. You just gotta decide that you're going to. And I always looked around me and said, well, if all these guys can do this, I can sure do it. And so, just do it. I never ever expected to not make it.
What was the first, when you joined, where was the first place you went?
Well, as I say, I went to the Naval Academy, and then when I graduated from there, I became an officer, an ensign, and I went to an APA, they call it, a troop transport out of San Diego.
And where'd you head to?
Well, we were supposed to go in the shipyard, and we suddenly had to go to Korea and take a load of Marines to Korea. And when we got there, we picked up a load of Army guys coming home.
Do you remember what it was like when you arrived in Korea?
Well, we went to Busan, and the war was basically winding down. It ended shortly thereafter. I was just in the last few days of the war and never got shot at or anything. We just visited Busan, left Marines, and picked up Army men.
So your job was, you're the captain, you drove the ship?
No, not there. I was a junior officer. I was the, well, I had several jobs, as every junior officer does, but the main job, I was the ship's secretary.
Oh.
And when we put the boats in the water, we had 26 boats on this ship, and the purpose of the ship was to land the boats on a shore, you know, and put Marines ashore. So I was a heavy cargo officer, they call it.
Did you see any combat when you arrived?
No, not on that ship. That was much later, much later in my career before I ever saw combat.
So there wasn't very many casualties in your unit?
Never. I've never been on a ship that sustained casualties.
What were some of your most memorable experiences?
Oh, gee, I would have to, just being there was the most memorable part. Being on station off Vietnam and providing call fire for the people on shore, and then you go out and plane guard the aircraft carriers, or you're out on picket duty to ensure that nobody interferes with flight operations. So there's a lot of work to do.
Were you a prisoner of war?
No, I've never been captured. No, I've never been a prisoner of war.
Were you awarded any medals?
Well, yes. I've gotten the Bronze Star twice, and a lot of service ribbons.
What does it take to get those, like the Bronze Star?
Well, I got one for being in country in Vietnam, and I didn't get it for combat. I got it for meritorious service. And on the ship, I got one as commanding officer of this destroyer, the Sullivan DD-743, and this thing describes that award right that we have here.
This United States 7th Fleet.
Yeah, it's from the award's from the 7th Fleet commander, who was Admiral Wiesner at the time. I later worked for the same admiral when when he was the head of the Pacific Fleet.
What was your life like when you were in service?
Oh, eventful. I had a wonderful time. I've been almost all over the world, mostly in the Pacific, but I have been in the Atlantic and in the Mediterranean, but basically I was a Pacific Fleet sailor.
How did you keep in touch with your family?
Just by letters.
Oh.
We wrote letters to my wife, got letters.
Did
We get letters
they
at
fly
sea.
them off the ship?
Oh, they'd fly the mail out to the aircraft carriers, and then we'd go alongside the aircraft carrier and receive mail by highline.
What's highline?
A highline is when you send a line from the larger ship over to the smaller ship, and then you can transfer cargo over on that line.
Oh, like
either mail or anything that can go on that line.
What was the food like on the ship?
Great.
Really?
Oh yeah, the food was really good. We always had very good food. Sometimes we didn't have the fresh fruits and vegetables after we'd been out a long time, but basically the food was very good.
Did you have plenty of supplies when you were on the ship?
Yes, never wanted for any supplies.
Did you feel pressure or like stress when you were doing your
Well,
duties?
yeah, it's all stress. That's what it's about. Yeah, a lot of stress, but you just deal with it.
Was there anything you like carried or something you did for good luck?
No.
None?
No, I don't have any good luck charms, no.
how did you entertain yourself not during your duties?
Well, you spend a lot of the time during the working day, which you do your regular assigned job, and then when the ship is underway, you have watches you have to stand, all night long. And the ship never rests, so you're very, very busy. And when I wasn't busy, I did a lot of reading.
So there was no entertainers on the ship, or?
No entertainers on a small ship.
What did you do when you left? Or went on leave?
Oh, went on leave. Well, you get time off each year normally, and you go off on leave. I visit my home, wherever my home was. While you're out on the ship, you have what we call liberty. When you visit a port, you go on liberty. That is, you go ashore in these foreign ports. We had a lot of that.
Do you have any particular humorous or unusual events?
Well, I was on a ship once that lost 3 anchors. I thought that's pretty amazing. It wasn't this one. We lost one over in the Coronado Roads one day. We were bringing in the anchor, and it just something broke off, and the anchor dropped. And then one night we were way out in the Western Pacific, and I happened to be on watch, and there was all of a sudden a big clatter, and it looked like a fire forward, and it was the anchor breaking off again from the ocean. And we called a fire drill, but it was just the anchor missing. And then the third time, when we came into Pearl Harbor on the way home, we rousted out the anchor to paint it. And again, we lost the anchor alongside the pier, and the mud was so deep there, the divers couldn't find the anchor.
Really?
No.
Were there any pranks that people pulled when you were on the ship, or?
Oh yeah, there's pranks. The most common prank is the sea bat.
What's that?
Well, the old timers will put a bucket down and shake the bucket around, and they'll tell the young guys that they captured a sea bat. And of course, anybody wants to see what the sea bat looks like. So when they bend over to look up the sea bat, you whack them on the rear end. Great fun for the new guys on the ship.
Could you explain some of these photographs?
Oh, okay. Well, this particular photograph is just me. I'm here in the white, and I happen to be the quarterdeck of the ship. And I think we're in San Diego there. I couldn't quite remember, but I think we're in San Diego there. And I've just attended a meeting, and this young junior officer here was advising me of something, and I'm just responding. It's not a big event. It just happened somebody caught that picture, and I thought, wow.
It's a good picture.
It's a good enough picture.
And could you explain this one?
Yeah, this is a scene on the USS Sutherland. I'm the man in whites there, the commanding officer, and this is the executive officer to the left, and all these other people, I frankly don't remember all their names, but they're chief petty officers and junior officers on the ship. And it's an award ceremony. That one chief standing in front of us there is receiving an award.
I know we talked about this, but can you explain it again?
Yeah, this is a picture of the ship. I had command of this ship. And what you see up here are the piece of the USS Enterprise, which was the Navy's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. And we're actually leaving the Western Pacific and we're heading home. Now, the Enterprise is a nuclear-powered ship, and so you might be surprised that they carry fuel oil, but they carry a huge, millions of gallons of fuel oil, because they got to fuel these escorts like this ship. And these are hoses going over there, and we're in the midst of refueling. The ship comes alongside and they fire shot lines over and bring the hoses over and you can refuel while you're underway. That's what that's a picture of.
Thank you. What did you think of the officers or fellow soldiers that you?
There were all kinds of people in every stage of my life. Some wonderful and some not so. I couldn't categorize any particular group as being one thing or another. We've got tremendously good officers, good petty officers and good men, and then we had some ones that weren't so good, as all organizations have.
Did you keep any like personal diary or journal?
No, I didn't. I didn't keep a diary or a journal.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yeah, I was in the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and I retired out of the Pentagon. And I retired because I didn't want to spend 3 years there. I spent a year there and then got out.
What did you do the day or like week afterward?
I drove to my home state of Minnesota, and my wife and I rented a cottage on a lake there. It happened to be November, and we were there in November, December, January, and February, and the lake froze over, and we did a lot of ice fishing.
Did you ever go back to school or work afterwards?
Oh yeah, I went back to school and got my teaching credential.
Was your education supported by the GI Bill?
No, I didn't use it quickly enough.
Did you make any close friendships while you were in service?
Oh, innumerable friendships, yes. That last a lifetime.
Did you continue any of those?
A few. Really not as many as you would think. I'm acquainted with lots of people that I've met, but none of them live near to me, so I don't relate with them on a daily basis. I do have a couple of friends in the Marine Corps that I have coffee with every Saturday.
Did you join a veterans organization?
Never have, no.
What did you do as a career after the war?
After I left the Navy, I worked for a life insurance company for 12 years, and then I went back to school and got my teaching credential, and then went into teaching.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about military in general?
Oh, I'm absolutely positive on the military. I think we got to have a military and a strong military, and I've always thought that.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
I don't know, probably built my character in a number of ways. I think I'm more orderly and organized and focused.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered in this interview?
Oh, not especially, Chandler. It's been a pleasure. I touched mostly on shipboard life. I did spend a year in Vietnam before that, but I don't remember taking any pictures. I couldn't find any pictures to ask you about it.
What was Vietnam like?
Well, I was in Saigon. I had a different year in Vietnam than most people. I didn't have to go out in the jungle and fight the Viet Cong. I was in town, came in right after the Tet Offensive, and for a while I worked in the city hall downtown and helping to get the city back in shape after the Tet Offensive.
Was it dangerous there, or were you pretty well kept?
Well, I don't think it was extremely dangerous where I was. They had fired rockets into the city, but the chance of them hitting you were pretty slim. So I didn't face what I would call extreme danger at all.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy.
You're welcome.